Welcome to vpod.ai. This deep dive is sponsored by Stonefly. They're a leader in enterprise storage, backup and disaster recovery, AI storage, and cloud solutions. So if you're looking for secure, ransomware-proof storage, well, Stonefly sells air-gapped and immutable storage. You can contact sales at stonefly.com to schedule a demo. Okay, let's dive in. We are really unpacking the U.S. housing market today, looking at the latest data we have from September 2025. And, it just feels, well, chaotic out there, right? Slow, expensive, confusing. Our mission here is pretty clear. Figure out where the leverage actually lies. For buyers, for sellers, and show you why that national average everyone quotes, it's probably the biggest mistake you could make right now.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because the market has shifted. I mean, it's definitely not that seller's frenzy we saw, during the pandemic boom. But what we're navigating now is this huge affordability paradox. It's strange. So the data sends mixed signals nationally. Yeah, power's shifted to the buyer. But sales aren't really taking off because, well, prices haven't really dropped that much. It's sticky.
Right, that's the big conflict. We need to sort this out. I mean, we all kind of know the basics, seller's market, buyer's market, but let's just quickly set the stage. For years, sellers held all the cards. Demand was just way higher than supply. Bidding wars, homes gone in days.
Exactly. And now, nationally, the data says the complete opposite. We are pretty deep into what should be a buyer's market.
Yeah.
The figures we're seeing show sellers outnumbering buyers by, well, it's a staggering 500,000 across the country.
500,000.
500,000. It's a massive demographic shift. And it's mostly driven by, 2 years of mortgage rates going up and house prices just becoming unmanageable for a lot of families.
Okay, wait. If sellers outnumber buyers by 500,000, that sounds like the definition of a buyer's market. Supply way outstrips demand. So why haven't prices crashed? Where's the disconnect?
That's the paradox, the affordability paradox.
Yeah.
The friction point is just financial reality. Even with, like you said, 500,000 more homes available than buyers ready to pull the trigger, sales are still slow. Because most of those potential buyers look at the prices, factor in the current interest rates, and they can't make it work.
Okay, and this is where it gets really weird, right? The data's showing stuff that seems backwards. Like, over the last 6 months, prices actually crept up a bit, while demand dropped. That's the total opposite of what you'd expect in spring and summer.
It is. And it's forcing this slow, kind of painful adjustment for sellers. We've got the metrics that show just how sluggish things are, nationally speaking. The average home taking over 40 days to sell now.
40 days? That feels like forever compared to a few years ago.
Right. Back in 2021, if your house sat for 4 days, you were starting to panic. Now, almost half of all listings have been sitting there for 60 days or even more.
Wow.
Which just confirms it. Sellers have got to be flexible. They need patience and realistic expectations right now.
So, okay, national sluggishness, sellers need to adjust. But does that mean if you're trying to sell in, say, Seattle, you should drop your price just because homes aren't moving in Phoenix? That seems wrong.
Absolutely not. And that's exactly why the national data is almost useless on its own.
Yeah.
You kind of have to toss it aside. The real aha moment in all this data is the regional split. It's huge. National trends are just masking these pockets of, fierce seller markets in places with deep buyer leverage.
Okay, let's break that down. Where are the strongest buyers markets? The places where sellers outnumber buyers by at least, 10%? You're saying it's mostly the Sunbelt, southeast to southwest.
Almost exclusively.
Yeah.
And this is where that regional story really matters. Think about Florida and Texas. During the pandemic, there was this massive surge in home building. Just huge.
Right, trying to catch up with demand then.
Exactly. But they basically oversupplied the market. Now, especially in Florida, inventory hit its highest level on record this year. So you've got all this supply chasing demand that's now shrinking pretty fast in those areas.
And what's driving that demand down there? You mentioned a triple threat.
Yeah, it's sort of a perfect storm for those regions. Prices are still high compared to incomes. Then you add in growing concerns about climate risks, which hits insurance. And then you have soaring insurance costs themselves. That combination is just brutal for demand, making it exceptionally tough for sellers there.
Okay, but then there's the flip side. You said only a handful of places are still strong sellers markets, where buyers outnumber sellers by 10% or more.
Just 5 metros made that cut nationally, and they are mostly clustered in the Midwest and the Northeast.
Why there? What's different?
It really comes down to construction. New building has lagged way behind in those areas for a long time. The Midwest, parts of the Northeast, It's historically just been harder or slower to build there, zoning, land availability, costs. So now you have more people moving to those regions, often looking for relative affordability compared to the coasts.
Oh, okay.
And there just aren't enough houses. Supply falls way short of this new demand, and that pushes prices up. Competition gets intense again.
So it really is two completely different worlds playing out at the same time.
Precisely. Which means if we're talking strategy, the playbook,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be totally different depending on where you are. Buyers need to tailor their approach immediately.
Okay, so let's say you're a buyer. If you're shopping in one of those national buyers markets, Arizona, Texas, Florida maybe, and critically, you can actually afford the current borrowing costs,
Yes, that's the big if.
then this is your moment, right? Competition's low, sellers might be getting desperate. You should expect some real negotiating power. Price cuts, maybe seller concessions for closing costs or repairs.
Absolutely. That's where your leverage is. But flip it. If you're trying to buy in one of those few sellers markets, Midwest, Northeast, well, honestly, the rules haven't changed that much from the frenzy of 2021.
Really? Still that intense.
In those specific spots, yes, you've got to be ready to move fast, make a strong offer, like right away. Keep your contingencies minimal. If you try to play hardball and negotiate too much there, you could easily lose the house. There's likely someone else right behind you ready to offer more.
And the same logic applies to sellers, just inverted. If you're selling in the Sunbelt buyer's market,
It's going to be challenging, period. You have to price it right competitively from day one. And you need to be super flexible on terms, timing, maybe even repairs, just to attract an offer.
but if you're selling in the Midwest or Northeast in one of those type markets,
It's actually still a great time to list your house. You can probably expect it to move quickly. You might even get multiple offers within days. And you get to call the shots more a man. Favorable terms, maybe waived contingencies, minimal concessions from your end.
it all comes down to leverage.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Who has it in that specific location?
Okay, so since the national picture is so misleading, the most important thing really is for people to become their own local market analyst. What specific things should you, the listener, look for? Data that's actually available.
Yeah, good question. The first key metric is called months of supply. You can usually find this for your specific area, sometimes even your zip code. It basically tells you how long it would take to sell all the currently listed homes at the current buying pace.
Okay. And what's the magic number there?
Generally, if the supply is below 4 months, that strongly favors sellers. Things are moving fast. If it's above 5, maybe 6 months, then you're definitely in a buyer's market. More choice, less pressure.
Makes sense. And obviously track local price trends, right? Are prices still going up month after month? That's a seller's market sign. Or are they flat, cooling off, maybe even dipping slightly? That points towards buyers having more power.
hmm And don't forget the bigger picture stuff, especially mortgage rates. Even if listing prices haven't dropped much yet, higher rates mean fewer people are actively shopping. And fewer competitors inherently gives buyers who can qualify more leverage. It's a huge factor today.
Okay, data points are good. What else?
Honestly, talk to a good local real estate agent, someone who really knows that specific neighborhood. They'll have the real-time, on-the-ground knowledge. How long are homes actually sitting? Are sellers cutting prices often? How competitive are offers right now? That's the kind of intel a national statistic will just never capture.
Got it. So bringing all together then.
Yeah, if we synthesize all this, the big picture is really this story of duality, that long, crazy seller's market. It's over. Leverage has shifted nationally, no question.
Yeah.
But that massive affordability problem, driven by, economic uncertainty, high building costs, rates, it's keeping the whole market kind of sluggish and frankly, a bit weird.
But you mentioned some positive signs too. It's not all doom and gloom.
No, definitely not. There are a couple of genuinely positive signals. First, because costs got so insane, price growth has slowed way down. And in some of those oversupplied Sunbelt places, prices are actually falling a bit. That's relief for buyers.
Okay.
Plus, mortgage rates, while still high historically, have dropped from their recent peaks. They're at sort of recent lows. And lower rates are honestly the most direct way to bring some life back, to get sidelined buyers maybe thinking about jumping back in.
So, the final thought then. What does this really mean for you listening right now? I guess it means if you're a serious buyer, you got your budget sorted, you feel confident enough to move, well, now might be a good time while competition is generally lower nationally. But, and this is the crucial part you absolutely have to verify first, which market are you actually in? Buyers or sellers? Use those local indicators we talked about. Don't guess. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. And just a reminder, if data protection is on your mind, this analysis was sponsored by Stonefly. They're leaders in enterprise storage, backup, and disaster recovery, AI storage, and cloud solutions. Remember, Stonefly sells air-gapped and immutable storage for secure, ransomware-proof solutions. You can contact sales at stonefly.com to schedule a demo.